Hi, I'm Chris Army, licensed battlefield guide here at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm standing in the Soldiers National Cemetery, standing near the grave of George Dunkinfield. George was part of a pretty well-known brigade here at Gettysburg, made up largely of men from Philadelphia, hence their nickname, the Philadelphia Brigade. George enlisted in the 72nd Pennsylvania, one of those regiments in the Philadelphia Brigade, in August of 1861. Originally, he's in Company M. He transfers to Company I in August of 1862. George comes from a large family. His parents immigrated from England, and he is one of 10 children. George's brother James, who is 2 years older, also had enlisted with the 72nd Pennsylvania. James is wounded in 1862, and thus he's not here at Gettysburg. He does eventually recover from his wounds, and he continues to re-enlist in the war, and he finishes the war out. But younger brother George, now a member of Company I, will make the march north to Gettysburg. It's hot. The men are marching. They're trying to get to Gettysburg, trying to get to the area. They're doing as many as 16 miles a day in order to get there. The 72nd Pennsylvania will find itself in the center of the Union line on July 2nd as the Confederate onslaught is crashing into the Union positions. There are some Georgians late in the day on July 2nd threatening to break through the Union line just on the other side of the famous copse of trees. Sent in to help push them back is the 72nd Pennsylvania and Pvt George Dunkinfield. Now, at some point during this fight, George is shot. We don't know where. We don't know if it's immediately fatal. In fact, we don't know a whole lot about it. What we do know is that George was taken to a farm behind Union lines called the Pvt Farm. The Pvt Farm is a first aid station located, like I said, right behind the Union lines. And so when you are shot, that's where you're taken to, trying to get some help. Now, the surgeon there, his name is Martin Reiser. And at some point, Martin Reiser will make a note in his death registry that George has passed away from his wound. He's buried near the Frey Farm with other casualties from the Philadelphia Brigade. George is approximately 21 years old. He's not married. His life before the war revolved around his family, his job as a weaver in Philadelphia, and he left behind no property, no money, as the record shows. He actually faithfully sent his army pay to his mother every month. Now, at some point, George's body is disinterred from the Frey Farm and brought here to the Soldiers National Cemetery. A story, so it seems, typical of many of these poor boys killed during this battle. But what about James? Well, as I mentioned, James re-enlisted. He survives the war. He marries a girl named Kate. He settles into a career as a clerk. They start a family, and their first child is born in 1880. They name him Bill. Bill grows up and has a bit of a tumultuous relationship with his father, but he does go on to become one of the greatest jugglers in the vaudeville stage had ever known. Eventually, Bill will get into radio, movie. You might recognize Bill as a person who drank heavily, who disliked working with dogs and children. In fact, he built quite a persona based on these quips. A couple of famous lines that were Bill's lines were, "Start every day with a smile and get it over with." And once on a trek through Afghanistan, we lost our corkscrew and we were compelled to live on food and water for several days. See, Bill Dunkinfield was none other than that famous comedian W.C. Fields. Perhaps Bill's most famous line was, "I'd rather be in Philadelphia." I can't help but think that perhaps Uncle George would share that same sentiment. Thank you.